What's up, y'all? I'm still out here at the range hanging out, as you can see, on what's been a swampy day out here. Temperature hadn't been really horrible, but the humidity is rough out here, and this sun's peeking out of the clouds just enough to get it all steamed up. But I got out here early so I could get some tests done before it gets too bad out here. I'm on the last one for today, and it should be some really interesting 44 special. So we got the jelly contraption ready to roll and end out the day with this one here with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now, I've done 2 tests already, but they did pretty much stay on the backside. Couple of little bit of straggly pieces up here in the front, but I should be able to avoid those. The front half of both of these blocks, though, is pretty much completely clear. As you can see, of course, I got a heavy clothing barrier with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got here was sent to me by Balance for Daylight, so I really appreciate that. We got some 44 special from Matt's Bullets. It's the 250 grain hollow point snub nose 44 special. So it's a 250 grain lead HP. You can see brass case, got that lead projectile, very nice large deep cavity on this thing, so it's probably gonna need that to get some good performance through this cloth. Now, the ballistic info I found for these was saying 775 feet per second out of a 2.5 inch Charter Bulldog, so designed to give them good performance out of snub nose, it sounds like. Now, if anybody out there is not familiar with 44 special, it's basically the short version of 44 Magnum is what it is. So it's the 44 Magnum version of, you know, 38 special to 357 mag, or I think 500 Smith & Wesson, I think, has even got a 500 special. There's a couple of other ones that got a lighter powered version of it, and that's what this 44 special is. It's the light powered version of 44 Magnum. Now, what I'm gonna run these out of today are the shorter barrels that I have in 44 mag. Actually, this one's 44 special. It's the Charter Arms Boomer in 44 special. Now, this one here has a 2-inch ported 2-inch barrel, so a little bit shorter than what they're saying for this stuff. So we may not get the performance out of that, but it'll be interesting to see. And then the longer one that I'm using today is the Taurus Tracker with a 4-inch ported barrel. Now, the barrel on this, when I'm saying ported, it's basically a 3-inch barrel with another inch of blast chamber. It's much larger than the actual 3-inch rifle barrel. There's no rifling, and then it's just an inch of a big chamber with that porting on it. So I guess for all intents and purposes, you could kind of figure it being maybe a 3 to 3.5 inch as far as performance. So this ought to be some pretty interesting stuff. I think I've only done maybe one other 44 special test this whole time. It's just not really something that a lot of people use, but I could see the purpose in it if you've got 44 Magnum and that's all you've got and you want something a little bit lighter. So let's get this stuff set up and let's see how they do. All right, let's see what we can get out of these big boys. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with this Boomer first. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, like I always talk about, you're gonna get multiple velocity readings. The large numbers at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one being set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got them set for 10, 15, 25, and 50. Now, remember again, this is saying 775 FPS from a 2.5 inch barrel. This is a 2-inch ported barrel, so I really do not expect to see that from this right here, but be curious to see. I saw some reviews, some comments in some of their reviews saying that they got some pretty good velocity, so might surprise us here. This thing, if I didn't mention, if y'all hadn't seen this, this is double action only and absolutely no front sight on it at all. So it's just a wing and a prayer for anything past arm's length. Whew, this stuff is kind of rowdy. 869, 820, 828, 820. God, this thing is rowdy, y'all. And 818, this is some spicy stuff right here. Let's check out the average. All right, we got plenty more than that 70-75. Out of this 2-inch barrel, we had a 5-round average of 831 feet per second with that 250 grain projectile, an extreme spread of 51, and a standard deviation of 21.6. 831, a 250 grain projectile out of a 2-inch barrel, that's moving on out. And I can tell you right now, I can tell it is just by feeling it. But let me get it reset and let's see what that tracker does for it. All right, let's see what this 4-inch ported does. This one here ought to be moving on pretty good. Oh yeah, it feels good. 909, 847, 889. Uh-oh, fumbled it there. Fumbled the ball, y'all. 967, that one jumped up on me. And 845, so sped it up a decent amount. Let's check out the average. All right, we got a little bit of a spread on them from that Taurus right there. The 5-round average was 891. We had an extreme spread of 122 and a standard deviation of 50.4. Looks like we had a high of 967. I think that high is the one that was out of whack from the rest of them. The low was 845. So if you remember on that boomer, it was 831. So you're only talking about 60 FPS difference. That being said, both of these are well over that 775 that you're supposed to get good performance from. So I really expect some decent stuff from these right here. But let's get it all reset and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's special edition jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this boomer first. I mean, this thing is a nightmare, y'all. Again, there's no front sight, there's a rear gutter, but you can't line it up flat with the gutter or you'll be about 3 inches high. So this is just a wing and a prayer right here, but hopefully I can put it somewhere where it'll work. I don't even know what happened down there. Let me go check this out. All right, that one didn't go as planned. I pulled that one to the left. Again, I mean, it's luck of the draw. I mean, there's no reference for windage. There's nothing, y'all, but let me try that one more time, see if I can catch this thing. I'm gonna move it on over some. I just have no idea where to hold at. I think that one did a little bit better. Let me go check it out. All right, that's more like it right there. I sure wish that first one would have stayed in though, because where I put this second one is gonna make it tough to get this where y'all can see everything real good, but hopefully I can manage it here. All right, I think that actually might be perfect right there. Let's go check these things out. All right, let's take a look at what we got down here. This is actually kind of what I expected to see from these. I really wasn't sure what kind of compound this lead was. It was harder on the harder side, softer side, but I figured we were gonna get just minimal expansion, but that's really all you need from this big old 44 cal chunk of lead. So we'll start from the bottom. This one here in the front, that's the first one through the boomer, the one that went out the side. It looks just like the other ones though, basically. It came out the side right there, dumped some cloth before it went out. And then right up above that, that's the second one from the boomer. So you can see comes in here, nice disruption actually for what that is. Travels all the way through this first block and just barely pokes into that second block, maybe a half an inch. And as far as expansion on these things, you've got like a funnel-ish type looking on the front, like a funnel, not quite mushroom by any means, but you do have some expansion of the cavity on the front of those. And then right up above that was the one from the 4-inch tracker. Now you do have a track behind that, which you can see a little bit of. So as far as how big it is, it looks about like this one right here, pretty much the same size on all three of them. Travels all the way through the block again into this second block. This one goes about 2 inches into the second block, and it's sitting here backwards, so it tumbled, and I would be willing to bet it tumbled right here at the junction, because usually if you don't see any obvious signs of tumbling anywhere through the track and it makes it into that second block and it's backwards, it tumbles right here when it goes through that junction. And as far as expansion on that one, it looks about like this one from the boomer. So penetration wise, the one from the boomer is sure enough exactly 16.5 inches. So absolutely beautiful penetration on that right there. And then the one from the tracker is at 18.5 inches. So I think both of these right here have absolutely perfect penetration. And then up close and personal here, again, that one right there that you're seeing the closest up, that's the one from the boomer, the second one that we kept. You can see, follow it all the way through there, and then there's your projectile. You can see it goes in there just a little bit. I'll pull it obviously so you can see just how much it is expanded. And then right up above that again, That's the one from the 4-inch tracker. So looks pretty much the same, a little bit smaller on this one right here. I'll be curious to see what kind of opening we have on that one from the Boomer. Because this one here, you can see it's not a whole lot of expansion, but it did open up. And then from above here, both of those in the middle is what we're looking at. So it's very, very hard to get them where they're not stacked on top of each other. I think that's a good angle right there. You can see pretty much the same size as far as the disruption going through there. And then there again are your projectiles. All right, let's check out these projectiles. As you can see, a big difference between these, and believe it or not, this one right here is actually from the shorter Boomer, and this one is from the 4-inch Taurus. So way, way more expansion out of this Boomer. This is probably all you can expect to get from these, especially from a 2-inch barrel. I think this right here is absolutely perfect. That's the perfectly expanded for what kind of round this is, what kind of projectile you got here. Now this one right here, I think clogging was just the issue here. You can see I left that in there. This is just how I pulled it out, and it's packed in there pretty doggone good. You got some little bit of everything. Looks like a little bit of denim, fleece, and some of the t-shirt, and there's some of it still way down in there in the cavity. So this one clogged up. That being said, to me, that's still plenty for what you're talking about working with right here. A 44 special out of a shorter barreled revolver. I think that's still plenty adequate and plenty good performance for these. As you can see here, just to mention also, these things do have a grease ring on them. You can see, I can pull it out right there. So got a grease ring on them just for your reference there. So I think these are some pretty nice projectiles, and I'm definitely wanting to do a longer barrel test too, and they would probably do even that much better out of longer barrels. But let's get us some measurements on them and see what we got there. As far as weight, they started at 250. I don't see much loss. This one here from the Boomer is actually at 248.8, so probably lost a couple little crumbs, probably some manufacturing tolerances. This one from the Taurus tracker is at 249.1, so same deal there. You may have lost a couple little crumbs. It does look kind of rough, but probably just manufacturing tolerances. And then as far as the sizes, this one here from the tracker, I think it's still bigger at the mouth than it is at the base. You got 468 there with a length of 736. And then this one from the Boomer, you got 611 and 613. So a really nice, evenly expanded funnel with that one there. And there you go, y'all, the 250 grain 44 special from Matt's Bullets. Pretty nice performance out of these, especially being a 2-inch ported barrel. This is really, really nice performance right here. This one here, not as nice, but still, I think that's plenty adequate for 44 special. You would probably get a little bit different depending on the situation, depending on how it hit that cloth, maybe how it clogged, whatever the case. It just didn't expand as much as this one. Now, that being said, this one is a whole lot softer and milder to run than this right here. That little Boomer, there's no way I would use that little Boomer with this stuff right here. Obviously it does the job and performance is there, but that Boomer is a nightmare. I mean, it's almost like that, it's almost like running that Bond Arm Cyclops. Not that strong, obviously, but the return on investment, as I call it, is just not there for me. And by investment, I mean you being able to tolerate that heavy blast, that really heavy recoil, the double action of it, getting follow-ups back where they need to be is going to be an absolute chore with that thing. So I just do not think it's worth all of that struggle for what you're getting from this. Even though it is good performance, there are far better options in my opinion than a 44 special with this kind of power out of that little 2-inch barrel. But again, all that being said, either one of these in either one of these tools would definitely do the job if you did yours. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna call it right there for a pretty rowdy way to end out the day. So again, I think these are absolutely capable of getting the job done as far as two-legged defense, without a doubt. The problem though, like I said, is out of this Boomer, at least this little old short barrel, the performance return is definitely not worth the cost. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Any y'all out there run any of this stuff from Matt's or any other kind of 44 special? If you do run 44 special, what kind of barrel length, what tool do you run it in, and what kind of ammo are you using? And why is it that you're using 44 special over a 44 44 Magnum, or even over some other EDC that would give you comparable energy and performance with a little bit less as far as all that rowdiness. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications turned on so hopefully you get notified when I upload new stuff. Again, like I always remind you, check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you grab after hitting up those links, I get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really do appreciate that. As always, a big thanks to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got plenty more good stuff in the works, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.